So, Key, is it unfair to have Dak Prescott as the 17th best quarterback?
Yeah, I think they just Pro Football Focus is kind of just picking on him as far as I'm concerned. Whatever the grading metrics are, I don't agree with it. I don't think he's the 17th best quarterback in the National Football League. Like, I'm not taking Kyler Murray over no damn Dak Prescott. I'm sorry. And I'm not taking Trevor Lawrence over Dak Prescott. You know, so when I started looking at it, I'm like, come on, man, y'all need to really chill out. I mean, like,
this is not a serious list.
It's not serious.
This is not a serious list. It's not serious.
It's not.
Not serious. What are we talking about?
Then you tend to push them down in rankings. But they're a group. I always say when I rank the quarterbacks, it's hard to put a number on them. Like, the best quarterback right now, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say Patrick Mahomes, but then you got a case that Jalen Hurts might feel like he's the best right now, coming off the impressive season and winning the Super Bowl and MVP.
Depends on what system.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, I like Jordan Love. He's done some amazing things in terms of coming and taking over for Aaron Rodgers and getting them into the playoffs 2 years in a row, beating Dak Prescott. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But I still ain't taking Jordan Love over Dak Prescott.
But wait, there's more.
When has Geno Smith won a playoff game? The answer is never. When did Justin Herbert finish second in MVP voting? Never. What are we talking about? Listen, I'm a certified Cowboys hater, but this is getting absurd. Dak Prescott has had really high level play in this league.
Hey, what do you hear? What do you say? All right, guys, I'm going to get into this quarterback ranking with Dak Prescott, where I see him. And after that, stay tuned because I'm going to tell you where I see the Cowboys going next season, how many wins. And I'm also going to tell you why you probably should bet the over as far as win total, because 7.5, I think, may be overcome. But let's get into the quarterback ranking first. They got Dak Prescott at 17. Now, I do think that's a little low for him, but that's maybe too much of an overreaction from last season, right? You're not factoring in that he had no weapons, he was hurt, and all that stuff. But it's very interesting to talk about this, okay? All right, so if you look at Tier 1, I've moved Jalen Hurts in there, boom. And then I would have Tier 2, I would keep Jaden Daniels in there and Matthew Stafford. And I'd probably move Justin Herbert down. I think Justin Herbert is one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the NFL. People overreact to his size, his skill set, and all that stuff. People tend to overreact to these things with quarterbacks, and they miss the other important factors that it takes to become a successful quarterback in the NFL. That's why so many people underrate Jalen Hurts. So I don't think Justin Herbert is in a Tier 2 quarterback. So let's go down to Tier 3. Okay. This is another problem. I don't know why Geno Smith is in this tier. Personally, he hasn't done anything. Has he even won a playoff game? He's had a couple good regular seasons, but I'm going to take Geno Smith and move him down out of this tier. So this is Tier 3A, says solid starters who flash high play. Okay. Well, I think you have to put Jordan Love in that tier, right? I think you have to put C.J. Stroud in that tier. Both those guys have flashed. Hell, even Trevor Lawrence flashed that first year with Doug Peterson, though he's been horrible since. So I'm not moving him up. Okay, so Jordan Love, C.J. Stroud, I would probably move to Tier 3A. And Baker Mayfield. So really, I would put Tier 3A. I would have 6. That's probably where I would put, if I'm being honest. Okay. The reason I don't like Prescott, he's so bad in the playoffs, but he's better than Kyler Murray. He's better than Trevor Lawrence. He's better than Geno Smith. He's better than Tua. I think you could argue that Baker Mayfield's better than Dak Prescott. I think C.J. Stroud is a better quarterback, and I would rather have Jordan Love than Dak Prescott. Jordan Love beat Dak Prescott in the playoffs 2 years ago when he had that almost MVP season. Jordan Love laid the smackdown on his ass. So bottom line is, I put Jared Goff, who I'm not the biggest fan of, but at least he's been to a Super Bowl. Geno Smith, no. Brock Purdy, not the biggest fan of. I would put, but he has been to a Super Bowl too. Okay, I put Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, C.J. Stroud, and I would put Dak Prescott in Tier 3A. And then in Tier 3A, I would put Goff above Prescott. I would put Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, C.J. Stroud above Prescott. And it's hard not to put Brock, even though I'm not a Brock Purdy fan, but he's been to the Super Bowl. And so I have to put Brock Purdy. At least he choked in the Super Bowl, in my opinion. I think Brock Purdy wasn't good in the Super Bowl. I think he had a chance toward the end of that game to go down and win, and he just couldn't make the plays needed to make to get past Kansas City. And that Super Bowl was right on the table for them. And I really don't, I feel like if you put Jalen Hurts on that San Francisco team, he would have went down the field and scored a touchdown. I truly believe that with all my heart. So, but I'm going to keep Purdy's been to a Super Bowl. I am going to hold that against Dak Prescott. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys against them. 5, 9, 13. So yeah, I got Dak around 13, 14 rather than 17. Okay. I think you could argue Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, C.J. Stroud, Brock Purdy, and even Jared Goff. You can argue all those guys with Dak Prescott. I am a guy who, when I look at playoff performance, that is big for me. This is why I used to argue people about Peyton Manning, honestly, early in his day. Like I would always argue Brady over Manning, and believe me, there was a lot more Manning people back then over Brady. But Brady performs in the playoffs, and Manning just seemed to not play his best. And I was a huge Manning fan, but you have to win in the playoffs. You have to play your best in the playoffs. To me, you have a quarterback argument. I need to see a quarterback do something in the playoffs. Of course, sometimes you're on a horrible team and you don't even get the opportunity. I get that. But Dak Prescott has had really good teams around him. Dallas Cowboy fans are like changing history. He hasn't had anyone. Yeah, he's been on a lot of 12-win teams. He's been on number 1 seed. He's had Zeke Elliott in his prime. He's had Amari Cooper. He's got CeeDee Lamb. He's had a lot of quarterbacks. And he's had a good offensive line most of his career. So that's the one thing that I hold against Dak. And it's not, I know some people might be like, oh, you're an Eagles fan, you're biased. But it's not. Look, Jaden Daniels scares the shit out of me. If that guy has the ball at the end of the game, that guy, he's got that mind. He's got that clutch ability where he can actually go make something happen. And that scares me. Dak Prescott in the playoffs, it's not, when he has the ball, I don't think he's going to win. I'm expecting the interception or the fumble or some stupid play. And I think he's between 10 and 13. I think that's a good spot for Dak, okay? You can argue it any way you want. But the bottom line is he hasn't really won anything. He's been on very good teams. He is a good regular season quarterback. Don't get me wrong. That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm going to give you the win total here in a second. But the bottom line, guys, is he is a little bit underrated. PFF, I think, does a lot of these things just to get people talking. And they know he's not ranked at 17. Come on, he's probably 10 to 13. That's where I would rank him. Where would you guys rank him? Let me know down below. Now let's get into the schedules.
And when I look at the schedule, man, the last 6 weeks of the season, the last 7 weeks, man, it's going to be tough to win a game. until they get to their last game of the season. So I think that number is just about right, 7.5. I'll give them 8, just giving them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I'll go put a bet in right now since that's 7.5, because I know the lines can change once the season starts. But I don't have the Dallas Cowboys making the playoffs, and that would suggest that this is a pretty accurate number around 7.5.
I have them about 9, so I'm going the over, but I also don't have them in the playoffs. I also don't think that this is insulting. I think it's realistic, even though I'm taking the over. When you look at their schedule and you look at the division being better than it was even last year, because I think the Giants are in a better position from bringing in Russell Wilson to be the starter. I don't know that their run defense is any better yet. We still have yet to see if they've actually been able to improve that. And maybe he'll prove me wrong, but I think Schottenheimer is a step down from McCarthy.
All right, guys, now I'm going to get into the schedule. Now, I am going to do more of a deep dive for all the schedules for every team in the NFC East later on. But for now, I just want to give you my initial impressions and where I see the win total likely being for the Dallas Cowboys, okay? So I do think that they'll lose week 1 against the Eagles. Now, obviously, it's week 1. Anything could happen in week 1. We've seen all kind of crazy stuff in week 1s in the past. Week 1 is just, it's not a reflection of what the season is going to be typically. So a lot of times week 1 is like over magnified because we've been waiting months for football, and then all of a sudden, we overreact to every game. But I do think Eagles will win that game, so I'm going to give them an L here. And then you go to the Giants. I think they'll beat the Giants. And you go to the Bears. I think they'll beat the Bears, so they'll be 2-1. Green Bay, Green Bay just gives Dallas trouble. I don't know why, but they've given Dallas a lot of trouble over the years since I can remember. So, of course, I think Green Bay will win that game. So I see starting off 2-2. I believe they'll beat the Jets, and I believe they'll beat Carolina Panthers. So that'll be 4-2. I really don't think they're going to beat Washington. I still think Washington's a better team. Maybe they'll split. So I'm going to say this is a L here. So now you got 4-3. Ooh, Denver, and that's at Denver. Actually, I'm going to go back to that week 7. That's at home. So I'm going to give them the win. Let's just benefit of the doubt. Let's give them the win. I'm going to give them the split with Washington. So what is that? That's 5-2. I don't think they'll beat Denver in Denver, not with that defense. So that's 5-3. 6-3. I think they'll beat Arizona. So 6-3, and then I think they'll beat the Raiders. 7-3. Okay, I think they're going to lose to the Eagles. So 7-4. They're going to lose to Kansas City. They're going to lose to Detroit. So 7-6. Okay, and then you got 4 more games. Vikings is an interesting one. That is at home. So I'm going to say they beat the Vikings. That's 8-6. And then they're going to beat Chargers. Chargers are an interesting team. I do think they're going to be better this year. 8-6. I'll say they're going to lose to the Chargers, and then they're going to lose to Washington. So they're 8-8, and then I say they'll beat the Giants in Week 18. 9 wins. So that's kind of where I see them. 9 or 10 wins. Let's just say they beat Chargers to 10-win team. I think that's realistic. Cowboys are not a horrible team. Last year they had a lot of injuries. They needed another weapon. They added that. I feel like their offense will be more capable this year. A lot of times you bring in a new head coach. That also motivates a team. So, yeah, I think they're a 9 or 10 win team. I still think that makes you third in the NFC East, behind Washington, behind the Eagles. But yeah, I don't think they're a horrible team, and I don't think Dak's a horrible quarterback. He's a pretty good regular season quarterback. That's what he is. So do I think the Cowboys are likely to make the playoffs? next year. I think they're going to be right on that wild card bubble, and I think they'll probably get in maybe like the 7th seed. That's what I see. Maybe. It depends on what the other divisions do, but yeah, that's how I see it. How do you guys see it? Let me know down below, and I'll talk to you later.
Because that's the bottom line. Because Stone Cold said so.